something a bit different than others, which is mostly about the ideations of hyper-casual games. Seeing that like many developers, many studios are suffering from finding new ideas to their games. The publishers all the time are asking for like minimum 4 games for prototypes, and they're like, where can we find them? And whenever they go and give it to the publisher, every time they are like rejecting most of the games and they don't know where to find more ideas, which is kind of problem we are having nowadays. So first, I'm Abdulrahman Adham. I have worked in Groovy Antoid as a game designer and publisher. As a game designer and business developer and the founder of Fun Dream Studio. For the last 4 years, I have worked for over 140 prototypes, published several of hyper-casual games and casual games. Well, Groovy Antoid is started by 3 guys. They are from Lebanon. They were just game jamming, chatting, and in 2015 they started like thinking, what if we start making our own living from game design? And their family were really proud of that. So they started like prototyping Fat Funny at 2015, and they got the beta mode in 2017, and we released Fat Funny at 2018, and it got over $2 million in Chinese market, which the story of success has started since that time. All right. Today, we are going to talk about what's hyper-casual games in a way like what's the idea of it when we want to make a hyper-casual game. What is it exactly? Like, are we thinking like maybe it's just one finger control, or like is it more about game like just portrait mode or like easy game? What is exactly specific hyper-casual game? Next, we are going to talk about the key feature of hyper-casual games, how to make perfect level design so for our attention doesn't drop down, and the game visuals, which is nowadays playing an important key of the games. And then lastly, we are going to start thinking about as a child. So after we understand all the concept, how we are going to like, what's exactly game design, hyper-casual game, we are going to think like child to know exactly how children think, and we get to their mind and we make game for children and for adults at the same time. Alright, so let's start. Hyper-casual game everyone thinks about is like just an easy game. I can control it with one finger and nothing else. Like maybe satisfying, maybe like action, puzzles. Like there's a lot of question mark about the hyper-casual in general. So basically, it's you can play it whenever you want, as much as you want. This hyper-casual game. So the idea of it, like while you are, for example, waiting in a line to take your coffee, or like in a bathroom, for example, or like waiting for your console game to start, and you're just having a loading screen that's long enough. So you just open your hyper-casual game, you just access to it really quick, and you play it for the time you have, and you just take your phone. So it should be easy to be understood by 4 seconds. When we say that, the game, when we open it, we have to have a character that's like, if you are a runner, so basically swipe right and left, so it's easy to understand. I have to run, I have to avoid obstacles. It shouldn't take the player effort to understand it. Second, it should be like easy mechanic. Like, first one is easy to understand, the second one easy to play. Because like these two things, like people are mostly mixing between it. Because like they say like we just made an easy game, but nobody's understanding it. Because there's lack of visual, physics, a lot of things. So we have to make sure it's easy to be understood in 4 seconds, is easy to play, satisfying, addictive, repetitive mechanic. It's like when you give an example of real life, like you are counting money. So who gets bored of counting money? Okay. So much you have it, much you are satisfied with it, much you are gonna love the game. Fourth is short gameplay session. So like as mentioned earlier, like when you are waiting on the line, you need a game that you can play it for 2 minutes or like 4 minutes to satisfy your short duration of time, and in a way that like you don't need to play it for a long time as in mid-core. Like in mid-core, like I play like Call of Duty game, it's gonna be really difficult for me to play it and wait for my coffee. And open and play. That's basically it. It should be like, I open the game, I start playing on it. I don't need any other things like to think about the game. So the key feature. Key feature is actually like, what makes hyper-casual games different than other casual, or like, let's go. So, like I said, it's instant access to the contact. You don't have level selection. You don't need to have like character creation. You don't need to like be overloaded with the things that you are gonna do when you open the game. You just get it, have it, done. Does it require a lot of attention? So let's say that like you are having like a talk or like just chitting and you need to do something. So it doesn't require you energy from your mind to focus on the game. So you can multitask even with it. So like you're like say waiting for your console game to open. So it doesn't grab your attention away from the environment and what other things you are waiting for. And of course, the game, it must be like repetitive. Like not repetitive in a way, in a boring way. The mechanic of it, you can repeat it over and over without feeling bored. In a way that like if we make like 5 levels and the player keeps playing them, he doesn't feel that he's playing the same 4 or 5 levels in the game. For the last one is minimalism in the game and design. Minimalism here like means the game it shouldn't contain a lot of elements in it, a lot of mechanism, a lot of unnecessary visuals. It should contain what's the most important for the mechanic and for the player to understand and play and have fun in it. Simple monetization model. So in this way, the main difference between hyper casual and other casual games is like minimum the 70% of the revenue incomes, it comes from advertisement. It's like some ad banners or like a pop-up advertisement or some advertisement that gives you extra bonuses in the game. So that's basically what hyper casual is. Perfect level design. All right. Design and level, it's important to have a good retention of the game. Of course, if you have a good mechanism. This has like rules. It shouldn't increase the difficulty suddenly. It should be gradually increase the difficulty. If you just like jump right away like and give it like the player after 2 levels like this level that can never win, it's like you are just killing the fun out of the game. No changes in the control or mechanic. Don't introduce new things to the player. If he's like controlling a human, don't let him just suddenly control a car or like just jump around and do mental crazy things. If you are, for example, like have a game like that has multiple steps in it, like or like multiple variation or like levels in it, it's like when you are cleaning a room, then you are cleaning a glass, then you are like organizing some stuff. Make sure that mechanic of the game is all are consistent in the same like way. So increase the base of the game is like you increase the time taken to finish the level. You are increasing like the difficulty in the way of putting the obstacles. Then we're going to talk about more enemies and obstacles. Like we can have like in the beginning of the game like just a cube maybe as an obstacle. Then animated the cube or like it comes from fire easily added to the game. But that doesn't mean we're changing any kind of the mechanic of the game. And you can go crazy with that. Alright. Game visual. I remember when I started like in 2018, the game design industry, they used to tell me like game visual is only 10% of hyper casual game. It's not actually important. It's not gonna change anything of the CPI, which was true actually. But nowadays, game visual is playing a big amount of differences. It's like, take a look at the Queen Bee, for example, from roller games. It has like visuals completely different what we used to. Like, it used to be just a stick man with this white board walking on it, but now it's like more as a decoration around it, a character walking in a nice animated way, and like a crowd and some environment interaction. So, if you want to make visuals, we have to make sure we have these three elements in it. Of course, there's like other minor elements, but these are the most like important. So basically, simplicity. The game, it shouldn't have a lot of things unnecessary. It's like textures and a lot of realistic VFX and crazy stuff in it. It should be really simple to be understood in the first 4 seconds, like we mentioned earlier. Minimalism is like when you are creating a game, a guy is running. So there is zero need for it to have like clouds in the background that's like running and thunder and some rain around here and there and throwing. These are unnecessary. Just remove it. The golden key here in minimalism is control delete. You just delete any element is unnecessary for it to use. Then is contrast. Well, contrast includes like 3 particle things. So the first one is colors. Colors actually plays really major role of game design. It's like if you want to represent danger in a game by red color, frame the element blue. So like we have a games like 2 enemies, 2 teams, which is blue and red. Colors play a big role in explaining the game, so we have to make sure we are using it correctly. It's really nice to have a lot of colors and a lot of vibe in it, but like too much use it or like above the normal is gonna affect the understanding of the game. Third one is size. So basically, by looking at this character, the red one, of course red is enemy, and the size of it, it explains that one of that is way stronger than others. So the size element plays here the role of explaining the strength of that character. So when I'm going to attack them, I'm going to expect that I'm going to lose some of my characters. Shapes, okay. So basic element, when we are saying about sharpness, it means something that's going to hurt me. When something is rounded, it's not going to hurt me. So when looking at this game, we can see that iron piece is sharp, which basically explains that easily it's gonna hurt me or it's gonna like make me fall. So shapes, colors, and sizes play a huge amount of explaining what's the game, what's the obstacle, what's to interact, what's to not interact in the game. All right, ideation here. Thinking as a child is kind of weird thing because like we are all adults, we are like being studying, thinking, like doing a lot of research. Then you are telling me to go back in time and being as a child, like that's weird thing. Actually, it's not true. Children, they have the best creative brain. Let's get into that. First, we have to understand how they work. The children's brain, how it works. Then we are gonna jump to how we should actually go with that. Observation. Well, haven't you seen a child like just looking around and asking what's this, what's that, or why he's doing like this, why you are like looking and just like keep asking a lot of questions like and you're just stop questioning. Okay. Children, they have the tool of observation, which is that's one of the most or the strongest ability they have. It's like superpower. Observation is basically makes children learn from the surrounding more, keep questioning why is this, why it looks like that, why it doesn't look like that. Just keep observing and asking and wondering about the environment. That's how they learn. Imagination. This is actually like kind of every time when I'm walking on the street, when I see a child, I see this thing. Haven't you seen a child just try to run and flying on the air to pretend that he's Superman or like having some superhero things? Children, they just after they observe the world, they say, why don't we have this kind of things? So they start imagining, like, I want to fly, I want to dive right in the deep sea, or like being on space. They just make their creative brain just like fly away. They don't have a limit. We say normally the limit, our limit should be on to the sky, but children, they don't have limit to the sky. They are unlimited learner. They break the rules. Okay. Children, they don't have specific rules in their life. As adults, we know that we shouldn't cross that line. We shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. We just get rules and we don't know why we should break or we shouldn't. But children, they just came to this life. Some people tell them angel, some people say devils, okay. These just came and they want to observe everything. They just like see if this one can break or not. They just want to try new games. They just like break the rules. They don't have anything, nothing to limit them. This saying say that rules are made to be broken. So for example, if I tell you red color is represent danger, you can break it if you can do that. Okay. Well, that's really important thing. Routine kills our creativity. When we are going every day on the same bus or like work or like to school or wherever we are going, and we get in the desk and we have the laptop that connected to the wireless, and we start like checking the emails every time, every day in the same routine, it's the same thing. We are basically not observing anything. We are not seeing the life. We are not trying new foods, and new culture, new even like if you open your Instagram, you have the same pages you are following and you are checking them every day. You just have the same routine every day, like having it. Same loop, you're stuck in it. So don't ask me why you don't have creative mind. Because we are not breaking the routine. Children, basically like every day they wake up, they are just like go to the street and they just like, what should they do today? Like they don't have anything. They just start actively wondering what are they gonna do today. So they don't have routines, they have just creativity. And this is, they get bored a lot. If you have like child, every time they come to you and say, Dad, Mom, I got bored. They say like, they just being bored because they don't have something keeping them busy. Being bored is not a bad thing actually. Being bored, it makes you like, wonder what you are gonna do next, how you are gonna busy your time. So they just go creative with their mind and they start playing games, creating games. Let me ask you this question. Did you play Floor is Lava when you were a child? Okay. Maybe different names, but everyone played it. How many jumped on the bed? Okay. How many created a small house in their house? Okay. Did we have any communication back then? Could we communicate to each other? That's a fun fact actually. We, as a human brain, all invented the same games when we were a child. And that proves the fact that we are all working the same way. When we get bored, we go to the same loop. So answer to the question that like, how can we know 200 or billion people what they want? It's basically what you want. What others want is real. Okay, ideation process. After we understand how children work, or how their brain works, we are gonna start by observing. Observe like a child. When you look at the bus, don't look at it as a normal transportation tool. Look at it as a fun thing. Like there is a game made by Rolex, it was called Overloaded. They just made the bus as a hyper-casual game, which is basically came out of observation and our next thing, imagination. When you observe the things, And you start thinking about why it's shaped like this? What can we do with this shape? If this bus is like square, like boxy, what can we do with that thing? You start imagining, start being creative. Break the rules. So there's a game got launched on Steam. It's called What the Golf. It basically, they made a golf game not by using the like normal golf stick and ball. They just start throwing everything, throwing houses to the hole, throwing like human to the hole. They just broke the rules, okay? And then they made the game so fun because of that. That's what actually children do. So be creative, okay? Be creative here, the point is the same when we said being bored, okay? Being bored and creative and the routine, they are like all connected together. So when you are bored, because you don't have maybe routine or you're not busy, so you try to be creative. It's like just the same loop getting over and over. So after you observed, imagined, you broke the rule, and now you start being creative, how we can do this thing better and better, how to make this thing, gamify the elements we are having more. You just basically start making your own next head game. In this way, what we learn from that, try to remember your past, what you used to play, and combine it with what you are doing nowadays in a daily active life. Start thinking as a child. Remember that hyper casual game, we are designing it, we are programming it, publishing it, but it's actually made by community. So when we look deep in it, is exactly what community needed. So it's basically made by them. When we look at TikTok, the trending elements, it's been made by community. So we are trying to go and follow the community needs. So hopefully we see all your hits. Thanks for listening. Any questions?
Thanks for the speech, first of all. When you talk about the minimalism on visuals, you said that you should remove anything unnecessary, but how can you know, how can you predict what is necessary or not without testing it?
Well, actually, by defining the main mechanic of the game, it's basically like, let's say we have a runner game, and we have to have a road in the runner game, and the character, and some interacting objects. But unnecessary games is like if you have some explosion going on in the background, for example. If you have like a game you are like playing on a table, a lot of studios I'm seeing that like they put a lot of decoration on the table, which let the player think these decorations are interactive elements. So we have to avoid this misunderstanding. So any element that is not interactive or not playing a role of explaining what's the core mechanic of the game, we just remove it to make the table empty for them to understand it better in less time. Yeah, that's like what we
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions?
That's it. Thank you for a great speech.